I saw these comic books from Canada and I had to have them. Hey there, today I have a comic book unboxing video, and in this video I'm going to open up an order that I've had for several months, but I did order it back in April 2022 from eBay. And this was an order that contained an absolute theme of comic books. These were Amazing Spider-Man comics, and I tried to find a run of Amazing Spider-Man from the McFarlane years. Since I have most of the major keys of his Amazing Spider-Man run, I have decided that I wanted to get at least one copy of each between issues 298 and 328. Now, the big issue that I'm missing is 316, and that is that great cover with Venom on the front. Like it's an awfully homaged cover that McFarlane did, and it's fantastic. And it is one of my personal grails to get that book. And I want to display 298 through 301 plus 316 all together because I really do feel like those are the 5 books to own in the McFarlane Amazing Spider-Man run. So a lot of times with books like these, it's really a matter of timing. And the timing that I'm referring to is allowing for certain books to come to you instead of seeking them out. And as a comic book collector, what I try and do is I try just to continue to build up my knowledge and awareness of books, keep that short list of either artists, titles, issues that I'm missing in a particular run. And then when I go out looking for deals and I'm searching online, if then there are auctions that are ending around the time that I'm willing to buy or pay for it, and it kind of falls into one of the categories that I'm trying to collect, then I act on either bidding on the items or buying the books outright. And I will do that instead of deciding one day that I want a book and then I go all out for that book. Now, in this order, what I ended up doing is I was very well aware of Amazing Spider-Man and the McFarlane run that he did. And when I found a particular book that I was interested in, I noticed that the seller had other auctions of similar books, and I decided to place bids on them, hoping that I could win them all, get a little bit of a discount on shipping. And what ended up happening was this particular seller that had these books for sale is from Canada. So when I thought I was being smart about trying to save money on shipping, it actually cost me probably about the same, in terms of me buying them as single issues or trying to get a break on the cost of shipping altogether. With tax and everything, you'll see here towards the end what I paid for these books, and you'll see that it didn't, it added up, let's put it that way. And you have to factor that in if you are going to buy something and you're having to pay for international shipping, because that really does add to the cost of each book when you factor in your total cost to bring that book into your possession. So let me get to the unboxing. We can take a look at the books that I got, and then you can stay to the end to see what I paid for these, and we'll compare the cost of the books to fair market value, and then we'll look up some of the values if these books were graded in 9.4 and 9.8 to see what the potential for this order was. So let's get to the unboxing. Okay, here we go. Here is that order that I got from eBay. Came all the way from Canada, ordered on April 1st, and it only took me 4 months to open this thing. So let's open this up and see if these books aged well. Just want to take a moment to appreciate this packaging. Look at this. He had styrofoam all around the books with everything bubble wrapped. That is awesome. All right, got some tape around the bubble wrap. That's okay. Just stay away from my comics. Easy enough to peel off. So far, so good. So I certainly don't mind that. And look at that, beautiful. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So these were not taped together. They made it. Gorgeous. A plus, man. Love it. So far, so good. And now I can very calmly and happily just take a look at these books. And right off the bat, you'll see here, Amazing Spider-Man 321, and it's a newsstand. So very cool there. Again, just great, great McFarlane books. Just I like to buy these. I like to go back and look at these, especially when the community is getting caught up looking at store exclusives and conventions and drama and all of that. This is it's like comfort food, honestly. Or, your favorite drink, putting your feet up, watching your favorite show. This is it for me right here. Like going back to these great books. We've got Silver Sable, we got Paladin, obviously Spidey right on the cover there. ASM 321. I'm also curious to see what condition these are in. And I know that there were photos, but photos are blurry. Yes, sometimes they're zoomed in, sometimes they're not. And I do often wonder, would I be better off buying books only from eBay where each individual item is photographed versus an online store where it's a little sight unseen? Again, I feel like there's pros and cons to both approaches. So I am curious to grade some of these and see how they are. This is Amazing Spider-Man 322. Love all of the action right here on this cover. I love that McFarlane did his custom corner boxes there. So for the direct editions, that's what they look like. Here's another example, Amazing Spider-Man 323. Although Cap does have a little bit of a silly look on his face there, but I love it. I love it. It just brings a little bit of additional uniqueness, and actually it matches his facial expression there. So this is a very famous cover because it is Captain America. It was always a treat to watch McFarlane draw another character that is guest starring, because you don't always get that. You're just so used to seeing him draw Spider-Man and all of his very unique poses where his body is totally contortion, and it's just, you're used to seeing sort of that style. And so whenever you'd see a guest star, especially Cap is taking up about 60% of this cover here, so it's all about him in this one. And I just used to get so excited when I was reading these, or I'd see the next issue, or I'd see a guest star's coming, because it was great. Now we're going to see a story with Spidey and Cap, but also I get to see McFarlane draw it. Here's ASM 325, the final chapter of the Assassination Plot, part 6 of 6. And again, Red Skull, not really a character that McFarlane is known for, but there he is right on the cover. A lot of detail also in the background that you don't really find much anymore. And there's the Red Skull in that custom corner box. And then the last book, this book I've purchased before, so this is not a book that I was missing in this particular run, but when I saw it available and I did look at the photos, I thought it was in pretty good shape. This is Amazing Spider-Man 328, a super cool Hulk cover. Hulk is another character in series that McFarlane illustrated. Again, I don't know if you asked a random comic book fan, which character do you think is most associated with Todd McFarlane? What Marvel character? I think everyone would say Spider-Man, but he did a pretty solid Hulk run there as well. So kind of merging those two characters that he worked on into one really, really ultra dynamic cover there. I don't think that's his best Spidey right there, but the Hulk is just amazing. I love that. So and any cover that breaks the trade, that breaks the logo like that, even the price box and the character box are thrown off there. That's always exciting. It just always adds to the dynamic element of the cover. And so those are the books. 328 being the last McFarlane book of Amazing Spider-Man before Eric Larson took over art on 329. And so these are just great ASM McFarlane Spidey books that I wanted to add to my collection to get that run going. So now let's look at the order summary. I can show you what I paid for these books and compare those values to the current fair market values. Okay, here is that order I placed on April 1st, 2022. It was a 5-book order, nice and easy, from eBay, from a seller named Nova Scotia. Very appropriate as a Canadian seller. Five great Amazing Spider-Man books from the late 80s, early 90s, 89 and 90. And you can see here it was a total of $78.69 for these five books. Now, this is what really got me was the $20 to ship. So I didn't get much of a break in terms of these five books all being shipped together. I would say that, if that order is being sent domestically, those five books should fit nicely in a Gemini mailer, even with that nice bubble wrap that went around those five books. And then you can send them off first class or priority for a lot less. I felt when I saw the books, when I started looking at the photographs, that I had a shot at least 9.4 on all of them. And I had had some bad luck with ASM 328, the one with Hulk on the cover, where I received from some pretty beat up copies from Atomic Avenue. And I really, once and for all, wanted to get a book that was at least in that 9.4, 9.6 range. And so I took the chance and figured I would spend a little bit more on shipping to secure these books. And there are times where you have to be creative and really search around. And if it means searching from other countries to get the books that you need and pay for that additional shipping, well, whatever it takes, I guess, to get the books that you want for your collection. So in terms of comparing this to fair market value, I did add the cost to ship the books plus tax to my total cost here. So you see $78.69 matching my invoice. So that makes sure that my formulas and the math is correct. And if you compare the cost of each book in column Z to the fair market value in column U, we'll see here that from just a raw book perspective, it was a loss of almost $25. Now, most of that is because of the two big books that I bought, 328 and 323. I will also say that these books were sold on eBay at auction. That's another thing that I talk about, is trying to keep yourself in check. I may have overbid. I mean, according to the numbers, it looks like I overpaid. But at the time, I really was looking at the condition and I was looking at the photographs and wanted to make sure that I secured these books. And this ends up happening with auctions where you end up paying a little bit more than you should have. Amazing Spider-Man 328, great cover, well known. I paid $23.52. Now, again, that's essentially adding an additional about $5 per book, $5 to $6 per book, because of the additional international shipping charges. But nevertheless, $23.52 was my total cost to acquire that book. And it has a fair market value of $7.93. So that was the big loser at negative $15.59. And then Amazing Spider-Man 323, that great book with Captain America on the cover, that was the most expensive book in the order, paying $27.52 for that. And it is a $16.59 book for a loss of $10.93. There was a big winner here, 325, relatively big winner. Cost me $11.11, and it is a $16.44 book for a gain of $5.33. Now, one of the reasons I purchased these, along with a lot of the McFarlane books or other pre-Image Marvel and DC books, is that while there's no shortage of supply of these books are well known. They're by well-known popular creators. And once you start grading these books, this is where you can really see the value pop. So let's just say that all of these books are 9.4, advertised as near mint. And if I were to get these books graded, they would have a little bit of value in a 9.4, where I could stand to add a few dollars, literally, to my collection in terms of value, $5.89 to be specific, where if after the cost to acquire the book, plus CGC, grading fees, shipping fees, and so forth, you can see that Amazing Spider-Man 322 has a 9.4 CGC value of $55. It cost me $6.02, and I would be adding $16.30 of value to my collection if I were to get that book graded and it came back a 9.4. These three books are under $321, $6.80 value gain, as it is a $50 book in a 9.4. Now, 325 is surprising, and a 9.4 is only valued at $39, but the fair market value for the book raw is $16.44. So the gap there is very, very thin when you factor in the grading fees. Now, from a ceiling perspective, let's just see how valuable these books were if they all came back a 9.8. I don't believe that all of these books are 9.8 candidates, but if they were, these are the values that my algorithm and my formulas evaluate on in terms of me targeting books. And we can see here all of these books are minimum $100 or above in a 9.8, where the total order has a max value of $656.89 if all of these books were 9.8. The big one here, $325, which was weird. And a 9.4, it's low, but a 9.8, it's the highest, $266 for that book. And I'm looking over at it now, like trying to eyeball it and see, could I actually get a 9.8 out of that book? That would be amazing. Pun intended, I guess. ASM 328, over $200 for that one in a 9.8. And the other three books, 111 for 322, 139 for 321, and 175 for 323. So these are the kind of values that I look at here to kind of drive my purchasing decisions and habits, because all of this I sort of throw into the mix in terms of looking at ranges and gaps. And the other thing is, I talk about keeping your risk low, and I feel like I probably overpaid for a couple of these, yes, but I still was factoring in a low risk. I was almost certain that if I were to grade these books, or even just decide to sell them as is, I could probably roughly get my money back if I had made a bad decision or I received a book in a lesser condition than I thought. So for me, as long as I'm respecting my risk tolerance when I'm going through these, then I feel confident in my purchasing decisions. I'd be shocked if all 5 of these books ended up as 9.8 candidates, but I know that even in a 9.4 or around 9.4, 9.2, 9.6, 9.4, these books have value. And like I mentioned earlier, something else that helps keep the risk down is that I'm buying books that are well known. People are these are very, very recognizable comic books. So I don't mind paying an extra few dollars to acquire them, because I just feel like it strengthens my collection. And also, honestly, it gives me a nice break. It brings me some peace. These are books that I love, artists I love, characters I love, and times of my life that I love and look back on. And all of that really just kind of brings me peace. It helps shut out a lot of the noise that's happening around you, whether it be online drama, FOMO over convention exclusives, or just an escape from everyday life. I tell people all the time that comic books are my way of time traveling. It takes me back to when I was a kid. It takes me back to my youth, when I was buying these books off the newsstand and reading them and collecting them. And I always appreciate being able to acquire books like these. Thank you for watching, happy collecting, and see you next time.